Hey guys, welcome, 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 welcome. It's your girl, Folasade, the Accountability Accountant, guys. I am so excited to be here with you on another episode of The Money Zone on RipRadioNetwork.com. Guys, once again, we have an amazing guest coming on the show, but tonight's show is very unique and a little bit different than what we normally talk about on the show, which we kind of do, but we never go into it in depth. So today's guest, William S. Matthews, guys, we're going to talk about your community and your bottom line and the connection between the two. And if you guys have been following me on Instagram and Facebook for so many years now, you guys are part of my little community. And you probably didn't even realize it. You subscribe to my mailing list. You're part of that. You're in my other membership group and things like that. So community is an integral part to your overall success. And tonight's show, we're going to dive right into community, and the importance of you building one, okay? So guys, what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick little break, which at that point, I hope you share the video if you're watching us on any social media platforms, or if you're watching us on RipRadioNetwork.com, you can also share the video as well. I advise you to grab your pen and your paper, especially if you are an individual that likes to execute. You want to take some notes from tonight's show, and guess what? Go ahead on and execute after we're done. Right? So do me one favor, share the video, get your notepad and whatever libation or drink that you're going to get, and be ready to dive right in when we come right back. Hey guys, welcome back to the Money Zone. We have an amazing guest on tonight's show, William S. Matthews, guys. So if you do not know William, okay, so he considered himself the Renaissance, the modern day Renaissance man with entrance in philanthropy, event planning, real estate, and marketing. His unique blend of skills and characteristics makes for a powerful offering to his clientele. women, I said women, William has guys, look, my Lord, this writing is so small. He's a native of Houston, Texas. A lot of my clients are down in Texas. Okay. Matthew combines his insights and knowledge gleaned from over 10 years working with some of Houston's most important social and corporate and nonprofit institutes. He was named one of Houston's Business Journal of 2019's 40 Under 40 honorees. His work includes community outreach, project management, workshop facilitation, fundraising, and so much more. And basically, from William's bio, guys, he sounds like a community type of man. So help me welcome William to the Money Zone.
Hello.
Hey, William. Look, sorry for chopping up your bio. I had to improvise. It wouldn't even come up. So look, we had to figure it out. So thank you so much for coming on tonight's show and to really dive into the importance of community.
Yeah, one of my favorite subjects. By the way, I love your name. You have the same name as one of my favorite people. So
yes, thank you. So before we just go here on in, when you think of community, what is the first thing that comes to your mind from a business perspective?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. I think your surroundings is the first thing that comes to mind from a business perspective. Community is very open-ended. It means different things to different people. But I think as far as being an entrepreneur or a business person, you need to be community-minded. That goes from what's going on in the area, getting involved with local politics, supporting local businesses in your area, and also just wanting to know what's happening in the community that you're around. So I think it's a very broad topic, but for me, from a business perspective, it's encompassing everything it's around you in your business and helping your business strive, knowing that from across the street, down the street, to even 10 minutes down the street, everything you kind of need to know what's happening in your surroundings, because essentially for your business, it really is your front door.
You know what? I'm so glad you even started off with that, simply because now you just slapped me right in the face. I lack that community aspect. Like prior to COVID, I shifted my business online, and I truly, talking now, I truly forgot, like the community for me is like online, but I know what you're saying, like be out on the street, in the neighborhoods, and networking and being out there and volunteering. And I used to do all of those things prior to, let's say, 2017. Yeah, 2017. And then now you just threw right in my face, William. I got to get back into the community. So guys, right off the bat, we've only been live for like 2 minutes, and here go accountability me. And you have to be honest with yourself too, guys. If you're watching this and you're not being in the community, you just read William's bio. We already know he's involved in the community. Okay. So are you involved in your community? That's the first question that I want you guys to ask yourself tonight to hold you accountable. So William, so give me a little bit of background. How, when you talk about community, how have you used community to help your bottom line?
Well, first, just a little bit background up on me. I grew up in a household that was very community minded. Both of my parents were entrepreneurs. They're both real estate brokers, and, they run their own real estate company. And so that within itself is a tough job. But then they were also very community minded by not only being involved in different nonprofit, social service agencies, membership based organizations, whether it was fraternity, church, or other business type of organizations, but they also take a leadership role. And so for me, I grew up witnessing them running a company and managing a team, a staff, a budget, and everything else. And then also on the flip side of that, being very involved in their community. So I grew up in a household witnessing that. So for me, it started at an early age, even from when I was in college, just being very involved in the different organizations in my city of the school that I went to. I went to school in New Orleans, and I got very involved. And so when I moved back to Texas, here in Houston primarily, I got very involved with organizations, primarily the Urban League. I got involved with my zoo, Big Brothers Big Sisters. The list goes on and on and on. And I think so for me, growing up, seeing my role models and my heroes, I was fortunate that my heroes came home through my front door every day. I didn't see them on television and magazines and radio. I saw them every day. And so seeing them being very community minded, it was just something that instills in me at a very early age, and something that I hold dear to me to this very, very moment, being very involved in the community. And that looks different for other people. You know, you have to find what works for you. But I do believe too much is given, much is required. And so my parents instilled that in me. So being involved in community and volunteering my time, resources, and creative outlets, that's just something that's extremely important to me. So in a sense, to answer your question, it started at a very early age, but when I became an adult, I got to pick and choose which organizations and how the community aspects that I wanted to be involved in. So I always tell people, whether you're passionate about animals, children, health, the arts, find something in your community and get engaged and be an impact.
Love it. So regardless of what you guys are interested in, William said there's something involved, something out there. It could be at your neighborhood library, or at your recreational center, or the neighboring school, or something like that. And like I said, I'm going to use me as a prime example. I'm going to go right back up, since outside is opened up now. Go talk to the library, see if I can host some little programs and events again, like I was doing prior to 2017. Okay. But since William was here, I'm going to go ahead and get my little life together, just like you guys too. So can you give us, from your mom's perspective, how did she participate in the community? And this would be good for all of my moms that want to kind of juggle the two, my mompreneurs that want to juggle the business and the community. Can you give us a few tips on like what your mom used to do in the community, if that will help us?
Yeah. Oh my God. You think my resume is intensive? You should listen to her sometime. She is a real estate broker, so she was very involved in the real estate community. And primarily there was an organization called the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, which is an organization that was founded like 50 to 60 years ago for African-American real estate agents, because quiet as it's kept, back in the 50s and 60s, a real estate agent, African-American real estate agent, could not join the national organization with all the other races. So they formed their own organization just for African-Americans. Anyway, my mom was very involved in that organization. She was a local president, then the state president. Then she even climbed her way up to even being the national. She was third in line to be the national president. Wow. And so she did a lot of traveling around the country, a lot of conferences, fundraising, putting together events. And I also saw her being heavily involved in the political arena, you know, having the mayor on speed dial in city council. So again, I grew up in a household like that. I know that I'm very fortunate to have a superwoman, as I call it. Not only was she running a company, but then also very engaged in community. And this is just one organization. She was very involved in the church and her sorority. She's a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta. And it just goes on and on and on. And so again, that was just instilled in me at a very early age. And seeing someone juggle so many hats, but never compromising their role as a parent, that's deep. So again,
I don't even know how she did it. I'm over here cringing. Like, I need to get my life in order. Like, literally, this is.
It did take a village, and I will say I can't speak for her, but if she was here, I'm sure she would tell you that she had a really strong support system. And it was a lot of sacrifices, because although I was always the last kid picked up from school, the last kid picked up from the babysitter, weekends where I had to spend with the babysitter or whatever the case. So there were a lot of sacrifices, don't get me wrong. But I think both of my parents just had a bigger picture, that knowing that they are really trying to set my future up and really trying to instill values in me. And just because they have become a parent, it doesn't necessarily negate some of the other responsibilities that they feel that are set upon them. And so again, how they did it, I'm not really sure, but I can, if anything, say that it really did take a village. It really took a village, very organized and prioritizing. And I think this goes for any parent or for any young adult or entrepreneur out there. You really have to prioritize what's important for you. And sometimes I think the biggest lesson, especially with the pandemic, has taught us with the lockdown, if you didn't come out of this 16, 18-month experience with a new skill, a new creative outlet, or even a new clean basement or attic, a garage, time wasn't the problem, discipline was. And so I think that's what this is telling us a lot about ourselves. And so a lot of it, we always will try to blame, I don't have time for this, or work is so this, or the husband, the wife, the kids' responsibilities, when it's actually just prioritizing yourself.
You know what? You said a mouthful. And so I'm going to just take a step back because, first of all, I want to commend your mom and your dad because they rubbed off on you and look how you turned out. So community, I honestly believe, William, is the part that we're missing right now. And while we're so disorganized, so much it's just so much going on in our communities now because we don't have leaders like your mom and your dad and yourself, more of you guys, duplicating this and being part of the community. So I want to just say thank you for you, your mom, your dad, and your whole family for being that type of family that we can run to in the community if we needed anything or to be a helping hand. So now your mom have done all of that. It rubbed off on you. So where did it start with you? Was you volunteering early? How did that transition to now you incorporating that into your business?
Yeah. So for me, it came with when I moved back here to Houston, really had to start rebuilding my friendship circle because all of my friends from high school either were moving away or they just took different paths. We took different paths in life. And so I just got very involved in different organizations because I wanted to be around other like-minded people. Mm-hmm. And just one organization just started from the next. And I'm the type of person that when I join a group, I'm just not going to sit in the audience and just attend the meetings and just to sign the roster, say that I was here. After a few meetings or whatever the case, or a few events, I'm the one that's raising up my hand when they need volunteers and people. My background has been in fundraising. I say I'm a beast at raising money. And because of my involvement in community organizations, that led to me being hired by companies and corporations, primarily nonprofit organizations, by doing their fundraising as well as putting on their events. So by me volunteering, putting together a golf tournament or a beautification project one Saturday, that transcended into other things. And so for me, it essentially came from just really trying to rebuild my contacts, my brand, wanting to be around other like-minded people, and leadership positions came out of that. But at the end of the day, I just tell people, find something that you're interested about. For me, I am an advocate for youth, primarily at-risk youth. Okay. And financial literacy. So those were the two biggest outlets. Being involved in the community, I wanted to get involved. And I'll be remiss if I didn't say that for years, I worked for a nonprofit agency in their community-based initiatives program. So I was the public affairs guy that was going out finding money for this nonprofit, representing this nonprofit in the community. And that established a conglomerate of partnerships and relationship with Fortune 500 and 200 companies from me. So that spearheaded into the public affairs arena of where I'm in now. So kind of when you were reading my bio, that modern day Renaissance man, it really was a trickling effect of being involved in so many different things, being at the right room at the right time with talking to the right person, which led to different opportunities.
So you didn't say another mouthful. So first of all, I think what I've gotten from what you initially said was that you stand up and take that leadership role. Is that what you're kind of saying? That you're not going to just sit back. And so guys, one thing I want you to understand is that as entrepreneurs, we are the leaders. So if you're that type of individual that's afraid to ask questions or afraid to be in the forefront, like for you to really thrive in your business, you have to do what William does and take action and take leadership and really put yourself out there, which as you can clearly see, when he said Fortune 200, y'all, he didn't just say Fortune 500, Fortune 1000, y'all, he said Fortune 200. And so in Fortune 500, so you know who you know. But I guarantee you guys one thing, you will not be able to know anyone sitting in the back of the room cringing and afraid. Okay, so the conversation from community that led into communication, because you can't lead a community without effectively communicating. So stand up, just like William, and I also do the same thing. I can't stand in the back too far long.
Yeah, and let me quickly. I didn't want to interrupt there. I want to say that I definitely, if you can get anything from this 20 minutes that I've been on so far, I'm a type A personality, okay? And when I walk in the room, it's just kind of between my voice mannerisms, kind of a commanding attention, but that's not everyone. And so you might have a skill set or something that you contribute and add to an organization or to your community. And then that doesn't necessarily mean that you're the one at the podium holding the microphone speaking. There are so many different skill sets that people have. You could be great at bookkeeping. You could be great at IT, designing websites and flyers. And that is kind of a behind the scenes role. So that doesn't necessarily doesn't mean that you're not considered a leader. I think find your skill set and what you're good at and find ways to contribute. And that's not always holding the microphone, but there is something that you possess and that you have in you that you can add value to that group, to that organization, to that community project or community experience as a whole. So, you don't necessarily, we don't all have those type A, Oprah, Obama, William personalities. There are leaders in all different facets of life. So just want you to be mindful of that, because some people might be like, I'm very quiet, I don't like attention, but those people are needed, because some of the best people, like the bookkeepers or the IT people or the graphic design folks or the one who can recruit volunteers because they're beefed behind their computer sending out emails, those people are needed as well, just the same. So I just wanted to add that in there, that even if you are quiet, still speak up. Even if your voice quivers, you still have something to contribute to the group.
Yes, like he said, guys, just speak up. That's what I basically meant. He just speak up. Don't stand, just stand up when it's your time, basically.
Right.
And so you just basically said, just use your skills to add value to your community. So guys, you don't have to think so hard about how to make impact in your community. You're already doing it now. You can just use whatever skill set that you presently possess. So William, this is really, really starting to get good. And so I'm going to lead into my next question.
Okay.
So now, when you say community and when we talk about the bottom line, what do you think is the distinct connection between the two?
The bottom line and community. Give me an example. Because I want to make sure I'm giving you the right response to that. So elaborate a little bit more for that for me.
Yeah, so the connection between community and bottom line. So for example, if you know that you want to make a certain amount of money and your product or services can only be rendered to a certain audience, you may have to come out to your community, be active, put yourself out there, then upsell. Or you may have to utilize your resources from your community to make connections to be able to make more money and increase your bottom line. So when I say bottom line, it's just to increase your revenue, your net income at the bottom of your financial statements, and how you can use your community. What is that connection? Is it going out there and starting your own programs, or is it connecting with someone first? Like, what is the connection between your bottom line and your community? Hopefully that's even clear.
Yeah, and thank you for that clarification. I think it's a little bit of everything. I think for one, you kind of have to first know what your brand is and know what your audience is, and then utilize the things around you to enhance your bottom line. And I think you can do that in conglomerate of ways. You can utilize social media. You can utilize your small business office in your community, different organizations. You could use social media as one really, really, really big one, or find out what's going on in your community. And, when we keep saying in community, I mean, and again, for different people, that might mean different things. For some, it might mean my city. For some, it might mean my neighborhood. For some people, it may mean 2-block radius. I think you have to find out what it means for you. Again, know your audience and know primarily who you are and what the product is that you're making. I think that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs, definitely starting out, they don't have that kind of niche, and they just kind of want to roll up their sleeves and go at it. You got to have to sit back and do your research. And a lot of that is what I've kind of seen some of these Fortune 200 and 500 companies do, is they know their brand, they know their audience. And that is an essential thing to do, to really take the time to know who is your target audience. Now, how can I find the resources in my area that can enhance what I'm trying to do? And again, there is your small business office primarily in your city. You can get involved with your city council, your state rep. I know some people say, oh, I don't want to fool with politics. Well, if you're in business, you kind of need to. And I'm not saying you need to be writing campaign checks and volunteering at all these campaigns, but you need to know what's going on, because government starts local up. And people always feel that it's always about just the national government. No, my friends, boys and girls who are listening, it starts in your community. Your state reps, your city council, aldermen, whatever. Those are the people that are making decisions for your community. And not only are you living in this community, you have a business. So you have a double-edged sword of why you want to be involved with what's going on with the local officials and the civic engagements. And also it's about networking. On my most recent book that I wrote, I'm all about networking. I think networking is just something that you have to do. Whether you're one of the people that like to be in the back of the room quiet, or one of you're those type A personalities, it's extremely important to network. But the pandemic in the past year, we kind of switched up networking. Everything is virtual, but things are slowly starting to resurface. But you kind of have to find out what works for you as it relates to networking. It doesn't necessarily always mean going to every event, getting every business card that you can. If that doesn't make sense for you, you have to really think of, again, is this helping me? There are different avenues and aspects as it comes to networking. So I think, in a sense, to answer your question, it's a little bit of all of that. Find out what's going on, know your audience, know your brand, utilize the tools around you. And lastly, and most important, I use this in every platform I have. Find a mentor. Find one that looks like you and one that doesn't look like you, because that mentor also can help you in your community and in your bottom line brand, help you take it to the next level.
You know what? I like you, William, because first of all, you didn't dive right into, for all of my startups that are struggling with really establishing who you are and that brand identity. That is key to really being able to be as successful as you could be. And William just said, basically, you want to have your brand identified prior to going into the community, so you can know where to go, who to connect with, and kind of have a game plan. And so, guys, if you're watching this and you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to get out there and you have not established your brand, that is one of the key things that you need to do, so you can now be able to effectively and resourcefully use your community to increase your bottom line. So, William, do you believe in that saying where they say your network is equal to your net worth?
Yes, I kind of have a similar quote in my book, also stating that, your network does not determine your self-worth.
Wow.
So, so I'm switching up a little bit, but yeah, I do believe that your network has a really, really, really big impact in where you are and where you're trying to go. But, don't let that doesn't identify you or who you are as a person. I mean, I have an amazing network, but I know my network, I want it to grow. I want it to be bigger. I mean, I would love to have Tyler Perry and Oprah in my phone, and then on the fly that I get to text them ideas that I have. But I do, in a sense, feel that your network is extremely important. And the title of my most recent book, you can kind of see a little bit of the background, the cover there, but it's Everything I Need to Know About Corporate America. That's the title of the book. And in the book, I'm talking about, really, it's a modern day book for recent college graduates, Black and brown individuals, whether you are in your first internship, your first job out of school, or even if you're in mid-management level. There are things in the book that you can learn about, how to go in and request a raise, how to deal with conflict at work, systemic racism in the workplace, and how to have, how to network. And also things that every man and woman in corporate America, essential fashion items they should have in their closet.
Okay.
We're talking about a little bit of everything in the book. And and the book is available on Amazon, or you can also go to my website, William S. Matthews, to learn more about me, as well as the different books that I've written.
Yeah, so go and follow William at Williams Matthews. Well, William S. Matthews.
S stands for success.
Follow him, guys, because as we bring guests on the show, we want you guys to go and follow them. Purchase their books and see, and basically really learn from each individual that we bring on the show. And so one thing I want us to really do is take advantage of William's knowledge in terms of how he have effectively used the community to really increase his bottom line. And one thing I want, and I know this because I see it from a client perspective, is that many of you are afraid to really get out back into the community. I know COVID has kind of crippled a lot of people, so they're afraid to get back. So if you were the individual that's an introvert, that your brand is already established, William, you're ready, but you're afraid, what would you do at that point? Maybe do you have maybe 2 tips or 3 tips for the introvert or for the entrepreneur that feel like they have imposter syndrome, so they still have that crutch? And afraid to get back out and network and be in the community?
Again, the mentor. A mentor has been crucial in my success. I think it's so important, and definitely for the entrepreneurs, the startups, or whatever. It just makes a world of difference having that mentor in your life. Again, it's important to find one that looks like you and one that doesn't look like you. And I dive more into that in the book. And then also, I am a stickler for reading. I do a lot of reading and research, and I primarily read a lot of autobiographies, books on successful people that I look up to, just hearing their success stories. And then also hearing their challenges, the stuff that you possibly didn't know about that was going on behind the scenes. I'm sitting there and I'm reading that book like, they heard a whole bunch of no's too. Or I can't believe that deal fell through, like, oh my God. And so for me, it's kind of takes you behind the velvet rope. And it gives me that determination that I need to keep striving and going through. And again, I read books from amazing, well-established people that have done some amazing things. But when you read through those pages and you realize some of the struggles that they've been through, it kind of reminds you to keep going and keep pushing through. Because if these same people can get rejected and told no time and time and time again, and they never gave up, I need to continue to follow on that same pathway so I can share my story and inspire other people.
So basically, just do it and just don't give up. Just keep trying. You're going to have obstacles, and make sure you guys get a mentor. Make sure you get a mentor. So what we're going to do, we're going to allow William to take a little break, guys. So we're going to take a quick little break if you're watching us on any of the social media platforms. But don't forget, we also stream the show on all places where podcasts are housed. So if you want to catch the replay after 24 hours, within 24 hours, you can go to ripradionetwork.com and check it out. But then you can also check it out on all platforms that podcasts are streamed. So check that out. Go head over to IG and follow William S. Matthews, okay, on IG. Follow him. Check him out. Let him know Folasade sent you. And then get your notepad, go to the bathroom, grab something to drink, and come right back. So, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Your refund is not something extra, okay? That's another thing. Y'all sit here not even understanding that if you broke, you do need to find somebody to help you with your coins. I don't know why y'all think that accountants and financial advisors only work for the rich. Hell no. I had to financially advise myself to even get to where I am now. Shit, when I was getting refunds, I had to financially advise myself on how to use the refunds. Like, guys, my story, I used my actual tax refund to build my business. I really did. I had Brim. Brim was born 2012. Started the business 2011, August. I got my refund and I put it right back into the business. I didn't have employees then. I didn't have a big office. I didn't have all of the stuff that we got right now. Right? I put it back into the business. So I had to financially advise myself too. So regardless of how much money you have or how much money you don't have, are you being smart with what you have? Are you going to do right with what you have? Make some investments, save some stuff, start your business, do some things. But the last thing I want you guys to do is just fuck it up. And that's been one of my drinks. That's my little Drake song. No, that's the last thing I want you guys to do, because we're still treading light waters right now, y'all. I don't know when we're going to get out of all of this mess. And I don't see anything happening overnight because there's too much policies happening. They haven't even really niched down and say who deserved what or who's supposed to get what. Biden is putting in so many executive orders and doing so much that they're blindly not even seeing that we're developing more and more problems as we're growing, as we're moving. So that's another story. We talk about taxes today. Do not file your taxes via TurboTax. I know you cheapskates and all of y'all like, Folasade, here you go again with this nonsense. Y'all know. Every year I say it because I want you guys to do better. And let me give you a real live example of why TurboTax is never really that satisfying for all of you. Okay, number one, I had a client called. They've already paid their invoice and moved forward. But they called the office. Well, Randy called them and scheduled a meeting with me, right? And so the first thing that the individual and his wife was saying was that they're not certain that they've been able to maximize. Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you've been able to go to the bathroom, grab your pen and your paper, follow William on Instagram, guys, and basically kind of started to digest what we've talked about and how you can incorporate your community into enhancing your bottom line. Now, we're not telling you go out and use your community now. We didn't say that. Okay, we talking about contribute to your community and you will see your bottom line flourish. Okay, so I had took a minute, took a deep breath and kind of regroup to bring a few more questions to William to kind of spin the conversation a little bit different. And one thing I do realize was that William had in his bio on IG that he is the connector. And so I wanted to ask you, William, how has being the connector benefited you as an entrepreneur and as a community leader?
It can be a blessing and a curse because then everyone wants to call you for contact information or can you put me in contact with this person? But at the end of the day, once you have worked really hard in networking for years, once you've been involved with a lot of different groups and organizations from a leadership perspective or just a member, your network grows and grows and grows. And again, I was the guy that is the spokesperson or the public affairs representative for the companies that I've worked for. And I'm a great relationship builder. And I'm the type of person that if I meet someone, I'm also remembering that they have a small kid that's in soccer or that their spouse broke their leg or it's crazy what I can keep in this file cabinet up here. And so when I meet people, I always say, oh, so good to see you again, Tony. How's your little boy doing in saxophone practice? And they're just blown away that I can remember that type of stuff. And I realize not everyone may not have the gift of that, but for me, I'm personable. And that has allowed me to establish some really strong relationships with the corporate community. And being a connector, I think at the end of the day, it's really just about relationship building. Because look, one of the things that I'm known for is being able to raise millions of dollars for corporations, primarily for nonprofit groups. People are so intimidated by fundraising. At the end of the day, fundraising is nothing but relationship building. It's nothing but just keeping a rolling list of all your contacts, but not only reaching out to them the only time you need some money. Yeah. You have to continue to keep open lines of communication. So when the pandemic first started last year, one of the first things that I was doing within that first 30 to 45 days, I was contacting my contacts, reaching out to them. Didn't want anything, but just wanted to check on them, their family, their well-being, and saying, how are you doing realistically? People remember things like that. So I think a tip that I would give your listeners is be mindful that in order to establish genuine connections and relationships with people, you have to keep the line of communication open. You cannot only reach out to them when you need something, because that doesn't work for me. So when people that I haven't talked to in a year or two, or, whatever the case, if I don't hear from them. And then the one time they're reaching out to me is when they need something, or they want me to connect them with something, or they want a ticket to some event that I may know the host or the sponsor or whatever. I like fall back, select delete. I don't even respond, because to me, that's not genuine. And when you are a genuine person, I'll reach out, and I will go above and beyond to be a connector for you. But if you don't come with good intentions, a good purpose, or when you don't only reach out to me the only time when you need something, I have no interest in that. And I don't subscribe to that notion. And that's the biggest thing that I tell people is don't do that. Don't become that person. And I know a lot of men and women that are that way. I call them leeches.
Yes.
And they're not genuine. They're not genuine. And as I always tell people, there is a difference between being a confidant and a constituent. Those are constituents.
He just summed up a lot of y'all folks already. No, I'm just messing, guys. Look, but let's take a note out of William's book, guys. And I'm going to go ahead and start my homework tomorrow. All of us are going to start our homework tomorrow. We're going to start calling all of the people that we have not talked to during the pandemic. Check on them. Ask them, have they been outside, girl? Have they been outside? What you doing? What's the first thing you doing? Or what was the first thing that you did when you got back out? And then he also said, guys, you want to keep the lines of communication open. Don't just reach out to people like William and other individuals that you're connected with for what you can get out of it. It's a give, situation. You don't want to just take, and then that's how you're considered to be a leech. And people like me will never reach out to you again and disappear. And So
friendships and business relationships, I feel business acquaintanceships, I do feel I use the metaphor that they're like a bank account. You got to deposit and withdraw all the time. You got to do both. And the only thing if you're doing, for me, like take you for example, if I have a friendship with you and the only thing that you're doing is withdrawing, I'm going to close the account because it's draining to me and it's not beneficial. So I truly believe
overdraft.
Exactly. I truly believe in personal friendships as well as business acquaintanceships. It needs to be a two-way street. It needs to be deposit and withdrawal. And because if you find one person only doing the next, the one thing, it's just draining. And so it will be an overdraft or will be close the account. So for me, I was very instrumental in doing this around about 2014, 2015. I closed a lot of accounts.
And I did too. And I think that's how I got stuck, William. So I'm going to not those accounts now. I'm going to go to new banks and open up new accounts. Oh my gosh, guys. See, every time like the 7:30 mark, we start to get a good little flow and everything, and the information just comes out. I have my notes. I don't know about you guys, but I have a lot of notes in terms of community. So you had said, so is there like a certain maybe schedule that we should be reaching out, maybe like once a month, every 3 months, depending on the type of relationship? How would you strategically kind of coordinate the calls, or have which type of strategy you would use, or to make your phone calls and stay connected?
I would go through your list. So go through the list of all the people, and let's say you get a list of 10 or 12 names, write all those down. Some of those, out of those 10 or 12 people, some you're a little bit closer with than others. Those ones that you are closer with, you would call them on the phone. And let's say you're going to call maybe 4. And then out of that list, let's say you're going to reach out via text message to another 3. And then the remaining ones you're going to send an email to. And it could just be doing one a day. I mean, you have to do what works for you. I'm a very disciplined person and extremely organized person. Again, for me to wear so many multiple hats, I have to be organized. But I'm a visual person as well. So that's why I recommend writing everything down and just starting with, I'm going to text this person, I'm going to call this person, I'm going to email this person. I'm going to do one person a day until I complete my list. And it may take me 30 to 45 days to complete that. And then from there, possibly maybe you want to find another list 3 to 4 months later and go from there. But I think each person will make their own determination of how they want to do it. I can only give a recommendation. Again, I don't know you and I don't know the core to the relationship that you have with the individual, but this is only merely a suggestion. So for me, I just kind of went through my emails and went through my contacts on my phone. But then also I'd be in the shower thinking of, man, I need to talk to this person. And then this person too. I'm washing under my arms. I do some of my best thinking in the shower. And I immediately would get out the shower, dry off and write down, I want to reach out to this person on this day. And these are the 2 things that I want to talk about. And I start out the conversation, if it's a text message or an email, hey, didn't want anything. You were just on my mind, wanted to check on you. I hope you and the family are well. Hope to hear back from you. Leave it at that. It can be very simple. And one of the things that I started out with, the last bit I'll leave you all with, is I started out with my strong people first. The people, when I say strong, the big personality people. What I've come to understand from this pandemic, those are some of the people that actually took this pandemic the hardest, are the strong, big type A personality people like me. Those are the ones you don't think about checking on. You're like, they straight, they fine. I know they know a whole bunch of people. I know they got so many things to do to keep busy. They're probably looking forward to the quiet time. Those are actually the people that were missing the connection from being the socializing and being around people and being able to talk to people and all. So I started out with checking on my strong friends, strong business people first. Those are the ones that I reached out to. Those were at the top of my list, just based upon my experience of knowing those are the ones that probably are taking this the hardest.
Guys, he just told us it doesn't have to be regimented. He said, but you want to get on a schedule and you want to make it a habit of doing it. But then you know, since we're coming out of pandemic, check on the people that you know that don't get checked on the most, basically. And start there. Don't put too much effort in this. But please, guys, if you haven't spoken to these people, do not ask for anything. Just check in. If you have a referral, send a referral.
Is how you're doing. The only thing, excuse me, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the only thing you're inquiring is how they're doing.
Exactly. Don't just go right into what you can get. Don't burn bridges, guys, faster than you can even cross it. Okay. So, but go ahead on and figure it out, because, and I'm going to give you guys an example before we go into my last question of how I've used community to enhance my bottom line. So I told you guys I was networking and I was really avid in the community prior to me shifting the business in 2017 completely online. Well, not completely online, but mainly online. What I did was I was part of like BNI and all of those like organizations and things like that. And so I still have relationship with almost everybody in my BNI group. We still send referrals. We still go to lunch. We still connect. And it's just interesting. Those were relationships that I established when I first started my business almost 10 years ago. When I started my company, it'd be 10 years this year, 10 years ago.
Right.
And so now I'm still eating off those referrals. I'm still receiving referrals, William. I'm still receive opportunities like speaking gigs and, you know, relationships. And so like, guys, I can easily equate a good 300K possibly of revenue from community.
Wow.
Okay. And so when I'm digesting all of this, so when we're talking about this, don't think about, oh, you know, we got social media. You still need to harness those relationships that you're building on social media offline as well to really arouse them, to build them stronger, to develop them a bit stronger. So don't think that social media is the end all be all. A lot of times the relationship only goes so far if you keep it on social media, because their personalities or they're so busy, you know, so you want to kind of, you know, take the relationship for where it could go, the possibilities. So my last question to you, William, is how has accounting and accountability impacted you and your business?
Extremely. Accountability is extremely important. Another nugget that I'm going to leave your listeners with is find an accountability partner. Yes. That is extremely important. Someone who will hold you accountable and will not always tell you what you want to hear, but it's what you need to hear. And for me, I use the analogy of, again, my top 5 people, the top 5 people in your phone who you've been calling, texting, whatever with, those are your top 5 folks. That for me is considered my board of directors.
Okay.
And I have, you know, one accountability, one financial, one kind of spiritual, one kind of personal trainer that I work out. But those are my top 5 people. So in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is the people that you communicate and talk with the most, that says a lot about you as a person. And you want to make sure that you have a really strong accountability team, or definitely accountability partner, someone that can hold you accountable. Let's say that you have a goal that you want to hit and you know deadlines, discipline, and all that is tough for you, that's when that accountability person will come into play. It could be the simplest thing is you're trying to improve your credit. Mm-hmm. You are trying to get that logo out there for that company that you've been talking about for maybe 6 months. It could be trying to drop 25 pounds, or it could be trying to save $2,000. That accountability person can really help take you to the next level. So I really, really urge individuals to find that accountability person. And they're always not going to tell you what you want to hear. And one of the things that I love about my board of directors is they give me tough love, and so I'm not surrounded by yes people. That's the last thing that I need. I don't want to be surrounded by yes people. I want people that's going to tell me the truth, even though it may not be what I like to hear. And the chairman of my board, I was actually talking to her before I logged on here today. She will always tell me things that I don't want to hear. And as I'm rolling my eyes, sucking my teeth, or maybe air cursing her out over the telephone, when I go to bed or when I'm in that shower, I'm thinking, I really need to hear that. And that really is the truth, and how thankful I am to have people in my life that are holding me accountable, because it truly takes a village. So accountability is extremely important, whether in your personal or your professional life. It's extremely important. You really, really do need to be held accountable for the things you do. And also because at the end of the day, people are watching and people are paying attention.
And accounting.
I'm sorry, you kind of threw me off there for a second. Accounting in what way?
Accounting. So like, I don't want you to say we had like bad tax problems or anything like that, but how have you used like your numbers, your financial statements, or how have your accountant maybe help you, did you close a deal because you had your numbers? Did you, save on taxes? Like the good part about doing your accounting and stuff. That's basically what I'm looking for.
Twofold of that. For one, I actually just got out of an audit literally 12 days ago.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I serve on a board, and I am the kind of financial person for this board. That's the officer position that I hold. So I have been in droves of an audit for the past 2 weeks with this auditor, getting everything accounted for. And then also I get my financial books looked at, and I'm a stickler for making sure that everything is allocated. One of the different endeavors that I do is I'm in real estate development. So I own quite a bit of real estate and property, and that within a nutshell of trying to keep all of that in line and together is extremely important, because it's so important to know where your money is going, when it's coming in, who still owes you some money, and what's the projected path. I tell everyone, there's a reason why corporations set a budget every year. And I think it's so important for people to have a budget in their household. Yes. Whether you're a single person or a person with 2 kids and a dog and a cat and everything, it is extremely important to have a budget and try to stick to that budget. Now, the budget can change throughout the year because we understand that life happens, but it truly is the foundation. So I have taken that same mindset in my personal life, where I set a budget at the beginning of the year, and I look at that budget on a quarterly basis. I run my household, my own personal expenses, like I'm running a corporation. Yes. And keep in mind, I got a business I'm running too. And also I have a real estate development portfolio that I'm looking at, but I run all of that the same way. Pepsi, Chevron, United Airlines, all of those companies, they have that expense account. They have the revenue, the profit, the net, all of that going in, that expense worksheet, everything. It's just extremely important. And I get, for some people, it can be a bit overwhelming, but start small. Start really, really small. But it's so important to have that accounting and your accountability.
Look, guys, so he summed up the accountant. So, I'm the accountability accountant guy, But you know what, William, this was just amazing. And I just want to just close out and just say that, you guys, the level of accountability that you incorporate in your personal lifestyle and your business lifestyle affords you the freedom and the options that you guys so desire. And you can use all of the different layers of what we talk about here in the Money Zone, such as what we just talked about today, community, what we talked about the other show, we talked about marketing, and we talk about so many different areas that you guys actually have to dive into as a business owner and as an individual. And from an individual standpoint, guys, I do feel that We are suffering in the Black and brown community because we don't have more people like William and his family stepping up and being parts of the community and really taking that leadership role. So if you're watching this and you used to be in the community like myself, let's get up, girl. Let's get up, guys. Let's do the dago thing. Let's make impact, guys. And you will see your bottom line increase, your relationships increase, your personal well-being in totality, guys. So let's just take tonight's show and the lessons that we've learned from William and his family's background and what he gained, guys. And if I had all my little stuff with him, y'all would have heard his background. Y'all, he done dealt with some of the biggest corporations and stuff. Go and check him out. Go and follow him at William S. Matthews on IG. And for all my nonprofits, you guys need to connect with him and see how he can help you fundraise, because many of you are starting nonprofits without that knack of fundraising like he possessed. So relationship, telling me Folasade connected you. Well, I sent you. Tell them Folasade sent you. So, guys, tonight's show was amazing. William, thank you so much for this opportunity to grace yourself on the Money Zone. We enjoyed, we learned, we conquered, and we soared. And hopefully our communities are much stronger after tonight's show, and we've helped businesses incorporate the community into their bottom line. Thank you again, William.
I hope so. Thank you for the opportunity and the platform. Thank you.
Thank you. And guys, check out his book as well. Everything you need to know about the corporate America. Okay. Check it out. I think the link is in his bio, because I think when I clicked it, it took me there. So check out the link in his bio. It take you directly there. And guys, I'll see you all next week. Thank you, William. Bye.
Bye.